And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your favorite 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the East Coast. Somewhat 3D printing related live stream with a Canadian guy in the basement and an American guy in the upstairs. And today we have Dave from Printed Solid. Oh, same old Dave. So no one can understand, but we were just giving Dave a hard time, telling him that he couldn't do any shameless plugs, that he couldn't promote anything, and so then he just changed his name. But so hello, Dave. Welcome to What's 3D Printing. So
hey, how's it going?
We are super excited to have you here. This mug doesn't show up very well. Red on black doesn't show up very well, but just
there's shameless promotion.
Sipping my Coca-Cola from my Printed Solid mug. So,
I forgot to grab myself a fresh can of Coke on the way down. We're never gonna get sponsored now.
I don't. Do we have to start sending them emails or what? Like,
I have been. Maybe I should stop.
Well, I'll ruin your sponsorship opportunity.
No.
Quick, disconnect him.
Blur that out. So a big hello to everybody that is in the chat that has joined us. I know that it's a holiday weekend and you guys might still be in turkey comas, but
is it something special this weekend? Do you guys have a holiday for Black Friday now?
Yeah.
No, it's a holiday because I turn on my Christmas lights the day after Thanksgiving. That's why everybody gets that day off.
Oh, okay.
You work in retail.
It's to help deflect some of the damage that you do to the power grid.
Exactly. So, Tom Lama said, and fashionably late. Tom, if we started on time, you guys wouldn't know how to handle it. So
we like to give time for the stragglers to come in.
Right.
Yeah.
Give everyone a chance to come in, say hi, and settle in, and grab a beverage of choice.
And click the thumbs up, of course.
Oh yeah, like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe. What's that?
Yeah, no, it's that button right below the like one.
we currently have
and right next to the notifications one. I'm just saying.
I clicked it, but now it says now I'm not subscribed anymore. But was the instructions unclear? Now unsubscribed.
So Uncle Ron slides into the room and says keyword old, and then he says, "Dave just tripled the price on all my orders." You have the new reverse coupon code there, Uncle Ron.
Yeah, I'll be jacking up everybody's prices on Tuesday again. Sorry.
Yeah,
have to wait another year.
What's going to happen, Ron, is every time that you order something, Dave's going to send you like old broken stuff.
He's going to get all the returns.
Easier to deal with.
So let's see. I think Max has no idea what's happening. So I'll tell you what. Everyone kind of knows. In short, I'm the owner of PrintedSolid.com. So I'm the little guest today. Yeah, I'll just introduce myself, David Randolph. Hi, everyone that doesn't know who I am, except for Uncle Ron. I'm working on his pricing in the background right now.
Extra zero on every order.
Extra zero on every order, round up to the nearest 100. But since I had a day off, sent everyone home, figured I'd come out here and bug the guys and say hi and just hang out. I'm usually in the chat most weeks, and I always seem to forget to schedule to come on to you guys and say hello.
Well, and what's funny is Dave thinks that he's that guy. So every time that we say, like, we like everybody here, well, except that one guy, Dave's always like, me? But sorry, Dave, you're not that one guy.
I think that one guy does know that he's that guy, though.
Yep.
That guy might know who he is, but
that one guy is still in chat.
I don't know if that one guy's in the chat right now, but
oh, I saw him. He's there. But yeah,
he is that guy, as in that guy that chilled beer in a filament extrusion line. He is definitely that guy.
You can't go wrong there, of course. Now, I do have to bring up an interesting thing just for James, just because I found it fascinating. I hate to bring this up twice.
Okay.
But
I'm gonna put this down and pay attention.
What when a shelf is going down in the middle? What do you call that?
Well, I called it a wow earlier.
Okay. And what do you call it when it's going up in the middle?
Well, then it turned out I mixed them up, and it's supposed to be. They would often call it a wow when it was up and a bow when it's down.
All right, just want to make sure.
Yeah,
I think it's a Canadian thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You get used to it after a while, Dave, and then before long you start using the same terms that James uses. So you start throwing A on the end of everything.
I forgot to add my. Well, I mean, I was late coming down. So here's what happened yesterday. So actually, if we rewind a couple of weeks ago, my wife had to go up to our hometown. Her mother was sick. She ended up with an infection and she had a problem with her eyes. So she need to go up for a week or two. While she was there, the hydraulic cylinders that hold the rear hatch open, once it's opened, one of them snapped. And the remaining one isn't strong enough to hold it. So we've not been using it until I get the replacement parts in. We've just been loading everything through the sides. Yesterday, so we're going on a haunted walk downtown, and she goes out to clear out the back seat and everything. And she momentarily forgets that the gate is broken. Mm-hmm. So she pushes the button to open the trunk, and it's motorized. So it goes all the way up. She goes underneath it, and then it beeps and drops the tailgate on her head. Now, the single hydraulic is enough to slow it down so it doesn't close very fast, but it dropped about this far, just enough to contact her head. So she comes back in and she's staggering a little. I'm like, what happened to you? She's like, tailgate. Forgot it doesn't stay open anymore. It swung and hit me in the head. So she's okay now, but she's spending the rest of the day relaxing. We put up our Christmas lights this morning. So yeah, I was a little getting to
those gates are not light either.
No, but because I look up the specs on it, and each one of them is rated to hold up like 120 pounds.
Right.
So that means that the gate is at least 240 pounds, or maybe it was 100 each. But either way, it means that there's at least 200 pounds in that door, and guaranteed there's more than 100 pounds because the remaining one would be able to hold it if it was 100 pounds.
Right.
So.
Well, that's only at its tipping point. You still have the far axis on that, so that probably weighs a lot more than even 200 pounds.
Yeah,
because the hinge is still. Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like the entire door could be 500 pounds, but if you position things right, it doesn't have to hold. You're just distributing the weight onto the back of the frame. So
right.
I understand things.
All right, everybody, this is our chance. Matt is switching over onto the TV, and he said he won't be able to see or chat, but he'll be here. So now we can talk about him, and he won't be able to reply.
Good.
So Matt's that guy.
He's one of the guys.
Matt likes to think he's that guy, but he's not that guy.
This is the real twist. There's more than one of those guys.
There's actually a whole community of those guys now that I think about it.
Just call them the crew.
Call them makers. That's everybody.
Yeah, it's just everyone that's not me.
Yep.
That
broke.
I hope that she gets to feeling better soon.
I hope so too. She's had a rough go the past little bit, but
yeah, that's not fun. But Don Strand said 37 of them are watching, and we appreciate each and every one of you, even that guy.
Even that guy.
We're changing our standards now.
We have standards.
And no automatics.
Oh, Chris Riley is in the house.
Well, I didn't think he liked us anymore because of that one thing that happened.
Yeah, God. Oh, that was the fire and the screaming.
The smell is what I won't be able to get out of my head.
I just don't ever forget about the restraining order.
I wasn't going to bring it up that far, but okay.
We're in a sharing mood today, so let's see.
The stream is already off the rails.
Let's see if I can get my other camera to come up now.
I am printing just for everybody's enjoyment. The printer is running back there, so
this is all rotated and stuff.
It's all rotated. It's like upside down, isn't it?
It is upside down. It's because I had this configured so that I could film top down so that it could be attached on the other side of the desk. I'm trying to make everything better. I went through a phase on Thursday where I was talking to Cam, like, maybe it's time to just quit YouTube. And then next day I'm ordering new lighting and stuff.
No, it's That's never happened to anybody else that does YouTube.
I was talking to somebody and they were talking about, well, you must make decent money off your videos, and I'm like, I put out a video on the Raspberry Pi 400, and it's at like just under 2,000 views or whatever. I haven't advertised it though, so like it's a pretty decent performing video for me. I'm like, I've made $3.96, and it cost me $180 to get the Raspberry Pi 400 when all was done for shipping and stuff like that. Not even including the time that I spent filming and everything else. So no, the break-even point's so far away.
Chris Raleigh said, I thought the restraining order was just for Dave. I have to stay away from all three of you. I thought you got the restraining order, Chris, not us. Well, this whole thing might just be a big misunderstanding.
Yeah, it turns out we all have restraining orders against each other.
Uncle Ron said, put your camera on a stepper motor, then you can turn it around. I've actually begun the design of a motorized tripod, which I'll probably never finish now that Xander doesn't do videos anymore, but I was going to have it controlled off of an Arduino where I could push a button and it would set the camera for me, and then I could push a button and it would set the camera for him. But
I know this happens a lot, but I've also been working for the same thing so that I can have it mounted to the ceiling, so it has like an adjustable height and stuff like that, depending on if I'm trying to do a project that needs the entire desk or like a close-up on stuff.
I'm not surprised that you're working on the same project that I am.
That's the common theme here. Focus.
James is just a keyboard today.
It's true. I'm trying to show off and it won't focus. And
John
also,
Strand said lazy much. That's not it. It's not easy to get the camera dialed in exactly the same spot every time. So
takes some work.
It's more for repetition than being lazy. My biggest problem now is the cats run back behind my desk and knock the camera, and then before long you can see too far that way or too far that way.
Yeah, this camera won't focus automatically anymore. Anyways, I was trying to show off. I printed the keyboard that we designed for the Commodore 64 Pi case.
Nice.
The actual distinction of each of the keys came out pretty well, so I'm pretty happy with that. That was it. I spent like 20 minutes messing with the camera to show off the keyboard for 5 seconds.
Thanks to everybody for being here. And
that's the stream.
Justin T wants to know how much filament you have left after Black Friday, Dave.
Oh.
I don't know if this is a good or a bad.
Well, let's put it this way. I mean, anybody that knows that we've been making filament nonstop since we turned on the line. And we've just been lining the shelves. I mean, put as much as we could up there. And you guys got about 2/3 of it off the shelf by about 9 a.m. on Friday.
Wow.
We sold more Jesse filament by 9 a.m. on Friday. I can't give exact numbers, but I'll put it this way. We sold more Jesse filament by 9 a.m. on Friday than we sold of every single brand of filament during the entire 4-day weekend last year.
Wow.
And that's not including the rest.
John said that someone's echoing Dave's input. I think it might just be a StreamYard issue. We were kind of fighting it behind the scenes today, which is why we were a little bit late. But
we did the best we could.
It is just kind of the way it is. Poppy Run says, "I love Jesse."
So, and we been going nonstop with it. So. I've had people come in on the weekend and just try and make more to keep up with you guys. And no, as soon as we put it up there, you guys just buy it. It makes me think that next year I'm going to have to limit how many people can buy.
That would be a terrible problem to have, Dave.
Because we had
you need to add a second extrusion line.
And a third and a fourth. So that's on my radar. So we'll see what happens. But the biggest problem is the amount of electricity it takes to run an extrusion line.
Tom Mama said Moses bought it all.
Yeah. Actually, it's kind of funny. Moses, he bought a good amount, but we had a few people that bought enough that they need their own pallets.
Wow.
Like mosaic pallet or like pallet?
like a wood pallet and a forklift pallet.
Oh, I see what you did there, James.
Very smooth.
Yep.
Well, I'm sorry you're not staying longer, John, but thanks for being here.
Have fun, John. But no, it's been a surprise Black Friday. I went into it with the idea that we'll sell half our stuff, we'll be fine. We overstocked on everything, we'll be good. And then you guys came in and we went, wow, okay. Everything we had about twice as much as what we thought we would need, and
Still wasn't enough.
It still wasn't enough.
Well, that's a great problem to have, though.
It's a good problem to have. I got to give my guys serious credit because they have been kicking butt just keeping up with the shipping part.
Yeah, but honestly, you need to give them that credit every day because there's just never a hiccup when I order from you guys. I mean, it's quick and everything is right, and so.
Well, my favorite is that, and I kind of love the story, and I don't call him out by name, but he's a good guy. He's our primary shipping guy, and he started about 2 years ago, and he didn't even know what a 3D printer was. He just was looking for a shipping job. And since then, he has gotten 3D printers. He's got like 4 in his house. He's built a couple. He's building a switch wire right now. He is more into it than almost anybody else in the place.
That's awesome.
You got him addicted.
And oh yeah, we hooked him while he was young. And now he knows every single component that's on the shelf inside and out. And he has a lot of fun because he will like see an order come in and he'll go, that person's ordered from us before, and I know he can't use that nozzle on his printer. Let me hold that to the side, and he'll email. We'll get a lot of emails sent out to try and stop people from ordering the wrong thing.
Yeah, I've actually heard that story talked about. I mean, not necessarily that, but I mean, I've heard of that happening with you guys in different channels. Whether it's on Facebook or whatever. People ordering accidentally 2.85 millimeter when that's not what they typically order. And then, like people have said, they actually contacted me and asked me if it was right. So, that's definitely taking it above and beyond.
It's kind of funny that if you go to our checkout now, it took a lot of work, but now if you put 285 anything in your cart, it warns you and says, odds are you probably don't need this.
I'm gonna have to go put some in my cart just so I can try that.
So if you put 285 filament or 285 nozzles or anything that is specifically 285, it will say odds are or it says warning, you most likely don't use this. It's like ulzbot and Ultimaker, the last 2 companies out there still using the stuff.
Yeah, it's getting pretty rare. Well, and that was really funny because when I was putting the FK1 together, people are like, "What are you going to do? 2.85?" And I'm like, "No. Well, why wouldn't you? That big of a printer more." And it's like, no. That's not how it works.
Now, I'm a fan of 2.85 mechanically. I think it's just beautiful, but the whole industry went 1.75. So, all right, fine, that's where we're going.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get color, you don't get the same color selections, you don't get the same material selections. Glenn Hogue said that you're echoing bad too. I don't know how to fix
see where it was coming from. That might have helped.
I think that got rid of it actually.
So, but no, Raise is still 1.75 for the most part. Actually, I don't think they have any out there that's 1.75. So, but yeah. So, but we still do the 285 because we deal with all those other printers. So we want to make sure we still keep enough for people here, and that unfortunately kind of runs us into a wall sometimes because you have to support them, but then stop everyone else from buying it.
Right. Well, and then, to have a material on the shelf that doesn't sell as frequently, then that's always a risk to you too. It sits around, gets old.
Yep.
And I don't care what anybody says. Filament will expire even if you haven't broke the bag open. I mean, eventually it will just rot away.
It can degrade. You can get a few good years out of most materials, but I don't like to have anything older than like a year on the shelf.
Well, because you have to factor into that somebody might buy that and have it on the shelf for a year or 2 at their place, right? And
exactly.
Like by the time they find out it's gone bad for them, then like they can't turn around and return it to you or whatever, or say this wasn't good. But like it also sours them on the experience of using your filament because they're like, I bought this a year ago, it should still be fine.
Yep.
But
Yeah, Filament is not made out of Hostess Twinkies.
So, but it's fun.
Oh.
But yeah, that's our entertainment. And today I gave everybody the day off just as they worked so hard on Friday and Saturday. I was just like, yeah, we're not going to ship on Sunday, so you go home and just come in and work twice as hard tomorrow. It'll be fine.
You'll pay for it later. Is basically what it boils down to.
Exactly.
So anybody out there, if you ordered late last night or today, too bad on you.
We will probably fully caught up, and everyone's orders from this weekend should be done no later than Tuesday or Wednesday at the worst.
Well, and again, I'm going to give you props for that too, because a lot of times with Black Friday stuff, you order it, and I mean they'll tell you ahead of time. And even I have a love-hate relationship with Amazon, and there's a lot of times where Prime items don't ship, but they'll tell you like, oh, this isn't going to ship until January. And then you just got to kind of go with it if you want the deal. But so I give you guys a lot of props for being able to crank that stuff out as fast as you did.
I ordered something first thing Friday morning off of Amazon, and then I had to order something else about midway through Amazon through the day. So the thing I ordered first thing Friday morning, it was like, oh, it'll be here by Sunday. Midday, it'll be here by Wednesday. The last one was like, it'll be here in the next 2 weeks. And it was like regular Prime items, like just household stuff or whatever.
It'll be here sometime in 2021.
Yep. So
No, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's happened to Amazon, but I can't get anything 2-day Prime anymore. I'm still a Prime member, but nothing comes. There are very, very few things will be here 2 days. It's almost all 3 to 5 days, which is ridiculous.
it's because they saw that you were abusing them. They put you on the slow list.
That could be. Well, I was talking bad about them on the Twitters, so
Must be the problem.
Yeah, they just tagged my account.
They saw all the Christmas lights you were putting up, and they were just like, "Yeah, we need to slow this guy down."
Well, I ordered a new welding helmet. I bought a new welder, and my helmet. It's an auto darkening helmet that I have, and it's crapping out. So like you'll be in the middle of welding, and it'll shut off and like just arc you. So I decided that wasn't good to use that anymore. So I ordered a new one, but it's like a week to get here. So I have a brand new welder, and I can't even do any welding.
Chris Riley wants to know when the Super Pinda is hitting the printed solid shells.
As soon as my suppliers can figure out how to get it.
Is the Super Pinda the replacement for the Pinda probe that doesn't need the thermistor anymore? Is that what the story is behind that?
Yes.
It's so accurate that the various variants in temperatures and stuff like that no longer matter.
It's not a matter of so accurate, it just temperatures don't affect its accuracy.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So
Uncle Ron wants to know what filament does my welder use. It runs a 0.3 solid steel.
So do you want to know a fun fact about welders?
Sure.
So our Jesse filament, I use spools. The spools I use are spools for welding wire.
I thought that. When I seen them. So.
And that's because the closest supplier to me I could find that had good spools, that's what they manufacture in massive quantities.
Yeah,
so
and it's a really heavy duty spool.
Yes. And it's all recycled styrene, but it's local to me, so it helps with shipping and all the environmental side of things as best as possible. But that's the spool, and a lot of the American companies, that's where they're getting their spools from. Very
cool.
So next time you put that welding wire on there, go, hey, that could be Jesse filament.
Joe said Harbor Freight for an auto darken mask. That's the one I have. Now, I don't know if they've changed it, but the one I have, you cannot replace the battery in it. So once it has failed, it has failed. Well, I say you can't replace the battery in it. I have a Dremel that says I'm going to replace the battery in it. But yeah, no, I bought a big boy welding helmet. I spent a little more than Harbor Freight. And so
we don't have Harbor Freight in Canada or printed solid.
Well, that's what you get for living in Canada.
That's true.
There's a problem.
Hack Monkey wants to know, is the Super Pinda a pre-existing part?
It currently exists now. It's now on sale over at the Prusa, of course. but they launched that like last Wednesday or on Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving, and they sold out of it like instantly. I think everyone just went and bought it because Prusa knew that you got to buy it and then ask what I just buy.
And it has super in the name.
I wonder if Hack Monkey is asking though, like, did Prusa design this new Pinda probe and release it, or are they using another off-the-shelf component or have they purchased it from somebody else and then?
Well, Pinda was an off-the-shelf component,
right? Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you
so
can.
This is probably another off-the-shelf component they're sourcing.
Makes sense.
And then they do wiring to it.
Yeah, that's what he's asking. Is an existing off-the-shelf part.
Meaning, if you couldn't get the Super Pinda probe and they don't have it available, can you snag it somewhere else? I think is probably
where he's trying to go for that.
On AliExpress.
Well, it won't be long till it's on there, of course. But more than likely, Prusa's literally sourced the sensor, got a secondary company that's putting it into the housing and put the wire on it for them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's usually how that stuff works. Kind of like Prusa doesn't make motors.
Right. They just label them.
Right.
I mean, but that's fine. Like their idea is being able to put things together. Like they design around existing components, and they come up with a design, inspired by other people or their own original designs and stuff like that that just works well together. So it doesn't usually make sense to control absolutely every aspect of building a machine like that, where I'm going to need my own factory to make my own motors and everything else. Like.
Well, I mean, it works the same way in the automotive industry. I mean, not everything on a Ford vehicle is made by Ford. I mean,
absolutely.
So,
I think I told you that a couple of years ago, went out to start. We've got a Subaru Forester. Go out to start it, and it says depress brake pedal to start. Well, I was holding the brake pedal down, so I pumped the brake a couple of times, and it's finally registers and starts. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And it was middle of winter, so maybe some water got in one of the sensors or whatever and froze up. And anyway, so the problem got progressively worse. And then at one point, it basically stranded us at a grocery store because I couldn't get it to start. And then I look it up, and it turns out there's a $25 part. So there's the sensors for the brake pad, but there's an additional part that's right above the arm, so that when you push it down, it pushes against it to let all the electronic systems know that the brake's been started. So it controls your brake lights, whether or not the car starts. It has that intelligent cruise control that like monitors the cars in front of you.
Right.
And basically, that was the big thing, is that when the brake pedal gets pulled down by the electronics, it has to trigger that so that the system knows that it's braking. Otherwise, it just shuts everything down. The part was made by Nissan. So I pull it out and I pull the model number off of it, and I'm like, oh, look at that. I'm like, it says it's Nissan. Then I flip it over and it's got the Nissan logo on it. I'm like, oh, well, there you go. Why? Because it was probably cheaper for them to buy a bulk order of those and work it into their design, or they have some sort of subsidiary with them. But
they got them off of eBay.
Yep.
The week they were building your car, they just bought some eBay parts.
They came from AliExpress, actually. I didn't know Nissan had that many S's in it.
Justin T said, not every single car is made exactly the same. Fight that every day. Absolutely.
Yep. We had a Hyundai Santa Fe that we bought brand new, and I forget what we had to do to the back. Oh, we were running power for Kay wanted a subwoofer in it. So we pull up the carpet and pull out one of the panels, and there's just loose screws sitting in between the paneling and the thing. My brother's like, oh, those are spare parts, and take them, pocket them in case you need them later on.
That guy went on break that day in the factory.
Yep.
Yeah, that is one manufacturer of car that I would never own personally. Hyundai or a Kia. And if you do ever own one, as soon as your warranty is up, get rid of it, because the parts are ridiculously expensive.
Well, it's the radio on the Santa Fe started to die, and I had paid for the 8-year warranty on it. And so we'd be driving along, the radio would come, you'd slap the dashboard and it would come back on, and it would be on for a bit. So it's a loose connection somewhere. So I pop open the thing, look at the wiring harness. The wiring harness is fine. I reconnect everything tight. Oh, and I sprayed the stuff with deoxidizer just to make sure that all the contacts were good. And it kept doing it. So I drop it off to Hyundai, and they evaluate, and it was at the 5-year mark, and they're like, well, unfortunately, the radio is only a 5-year warranty part because it's covered by the trim section of your warranty. I'm like, why is it trim? They're like, well, anything that changes as the trim level on your vehicle goes up, that's how we determine if it's trim. I'm like, I'm sorry, when you guys say everything but trim's covered, I'm assuming you mean like the wood, like the paneling and stuff.
Right, yeah, the rubber molding down the side of the car.
The trim. So they're like, okay, well, we can get you a refurbished one for $600 or a brand new one for $1,000. And I said, well, I'm just going to go buy an aftermarket radio for $100 and drop it in there. And I turned around to leave because I was mad. And she says, well, sir, you should stick with genuine Hyundai parts in your genuine Hyundai vehicle. And I turned around to her in front of a showroom and a repair shop full of people and said, genuine Hyundai parts are the reason I'm having these problems in the first place, and walked out. And she was like glaring at me. She was mad. So we never went back there.
Justin T said that he's a parts guy at a Kia dealership, and the prices don't change even for 10-year-old parts.
I'm not surprised.
That's why they're so ridiculous. Chris Riley is asking Dave. Chris is very good at keeping the show on track. Know what's the backstory on the Cindaver printers?
Okay. So, everyone's familiar. There was a company that was called Aleph Objects, and they owned ulzbot. About a year and a half ago, they decided to just go out of business. Aleph Objects, and what they did is that they let everyone go and just kind of scattered everyone to the winds, and then a whole bunch of legal stuff's going on. But the short answer is that all of the design engineers from the Aleph Objects ended up just going over to work for Cindaver. And that's why the Cindaver printer uses a lot of the open source design work from ulzbot for their printer, the Axie printer. And they're working on that, and they're working on the next models and stuff along those lines. And Cindaver, if you have a chance, just for sheer entertainment value, you absolutely should just go to their website. And I have to tell you
right now,
you really should, just because you have to see what they have on their homepage. It's the creepiest thing in the world. It's really wonderful.
Why?
Because that's what they do. They manufacture.
Like he's having a rough day. He's still smiling though.
They manufacture synthetic davers. That's their primary business.
Oh.
That's the company. So this is a medical company that manufactures that stuff. So it makes it perfect for them to work towards making 3D printers. So they hired all the people and they got it all going forward. So they're kind of making that whole thing.
In the chat for any of you guys that want to pop over there quick, but don't stay long. You'll have nightmares.
I can't look away.
The grin on his face is what.
I feel like I'm gonna get a phone call after this, and it's just gonna go 7 days.
Well, and then just looking at this, that couldn't have been easy to make that image. That thing's really moving around like a human. I hope they don't really make them that move like that, because that is really creepy.
Well, you can see down there, they actually have videos of it where you can see the physical unit itself. And
I don't want to see the physical unit on that guy.
Did you scroll down?
No. Do I have to go back?
Cindaver.
Am I going to regret this?
Yes, you are.
He looks like he's jumping gracefully over something.
I thought he was just doing the splits. Oh.
And if you scroll to the very bottom, you will see the canine airway trainer.
Oh my gosh. It's like a meat dog head.
This company's going to get acquired by Real Dolls.
Now they make frog dissection models too, which I don't know how much these things cost, but if that's what they are or will start using in high school, that's going to be so much better on students. I liked getting to dissect the frog, but that was quite shocking to a lot of students.
It's an experience.
Oh my gosh.
But no, they're interesting people, and it's kind of now the ulzbot part of it, in my opinion, is split in two directions. You've got the Cindaver side, and then you got Fame 3D and the North Dakota side of things.
Right.
And that's where they're going with that. And so now you have them two competing, and apparently there's issues. So they we sold ulzbot. I like the idea of Cindaver and the engineers that moved over there with them, and the medical side of things. And we were given an ultimatum of you can't carry Cindaver if you want to keep carrying ulzbot. And I went with the company that didn't give me demands, and that's how we ended up with just Cindaver.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if that like came out of their mouth and then it was like one of those things where they go like, "Ooh, I shouldn't have said that." I mean, that's so stupid.
So, and that happened unfortunately to a lot of resellers out there. So, and a lot of them had to admit it, which is, that's just the industry.
So I'm curious how a company that makes synthetic cadavers decides to get into making 3D printers.
Well, I mean, come on, they're doing a lot of mold making and stuff like that, so they're definitely in that industry. They spend a lot of time with medical grade materials. They spend a lot of time, rapid prototyping things for the medical industry, and there hasn't been a company that's focused specifically on medical 3D printing necessarily. We have some dental, but we don't have any companies that are focused on the metal 3D printing market. And so they said, well, we're already in that, so why don't we just hire a couple extra people and get started on this? So that's where they came from. And of course, they had to get a product real quick, so they used a lot of the open source to get started. And they'll have more product coming as they figure stuff out.
I mean, so you'd be crazy to not use open source if it's known good.
Yes.
Right.
That's what it's out there for. It's open to be used. So, yeah.
Well, because I had people comment a couple of the printer designs that I've been working on. I just reused the hot end assembly from the Prusa. They're like, well, why aren't you designing your own hot end assembly? I'm like, because I've designed stuff before and it doesn't perform as well as this. And not only that, by saying, okay, this is the format of hot end mount it takes. Guess what? Everybody that's designed a mount for a different type of hot end on Thingiverse can attach it to this.
Yeah.
Like, you can keep creating your own stuff. But did you guys ever see the XKCD comic where there's the two people talking and the one says, there's too many competing standards for coding logic and stuff now. We really need to come up with one that unifies everything. So it's like, there's 24 standards right now. We're going to bring it down to one. It's like, soon, there's now 25 standards. Because all you've done is add one.
And I think we're seeing a lot of that. I mean, and I mean, you see it right now. We're seeing a huge kind of narrowing of innovation in 3D printing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Every component has become extremely standardized, and it's almost become Legos at this point.
Well, there's so many companies out there that they're just in it to make the money, so they're going to copy what everybody else did anyway, and it has gotten a little bit stale. That's why I think when the whole, and not that the belt printer is a new concept, but like it's the hot thing right now, and that's why everybody's talking about it, because it's not what was here yesterday. Like it is different, so then everybody's on board with it. So
Carl says, but at the risk of sounding like Naomi, if China used open source, they get accused of stealing designs. I would comment that the problems because there have been arguments about that in the past. The problem was in some of the stuff, companies were using stuff that was open source, like Marlin, where the license says if you make modifications to the firmware, if you add things to the firmware, you also have to release that. So you're using open source, you can use it for commercial products, no problem. But if you innovate into it, if you add additional stuff to it, that becomes the property of the community. That's the trade-off. Use this, you get to do it for free, but anything you add to it is also for free. And then they didn't release that, right? Because I think the big fight started when Creality released the one of their printers with auto resume, like on power outage or whatever.
It was the CR10, the original CR10S. That's when the auto resume was on that.
And then it turns out that the way they implemented wasn't that great anyways, because it was basically constantly writing to the SD card, which answered the question as to why so many of them were having SD card failures in the first year that they were. Yeah, because it's constantly just rewriting the line, like this is the last executed line, so that it knew exactly where it left off if it lost power.
Now, I have a huge background in open source. In a past life, I used to work for Sony Computer Entertainment, doing PlayStation development. So I worked on the Linux distros as well as a lot of other coding options they had for the PS2 and PSP that was out there. And I spent most of my time dealing with open source licensing, so much so that they moved me over to the legal department. So this guy here, the engineer, was sitting in the legal department trying to explain technology to lawyers for 2 years, trying to defend the open source. As weird as that sounds, but did a lot of that. And if you remember a few years back, we actually even carried Creality, and we thought everything was perfectly fine and working. And then we found out that they were in violation of Marlin's open source. So we took it very simply and said, all right, you can't, it's like, all right, we're stop selling you. We can't do it in good consciousness. And yep. And then there was a whole bunch of blow up and all that stuff around all that, but I'm just not going to sell people or sell products that use open source and don't release against it. And we gave them a second round on it, and they did it again. And it came to a point that it didn't seem like a good fit for us to keep doing that. So we just dropped that altogether.
Well, and then, I mean, Creality being so bold is to steal Carl's design for the belt printer.
Yeah.
So, well, no. I mean, they're working on it. Carl's been helping them out with that. That's fine. They're now paying Scott over at Marlin Development. That's fine.
I was going to say, to Crowley's credit, like they had some missteps or whatever, and I think a lot of that's to do with Naomi, because Naomi said all the way along, she's like, I am trying to govern the peace between all the people that are involved in this. I'm doing my best with it, and I feel like they're more on the right side now. Well, I think that's what you were getting to, is that they're paying Scott, they're paying for Marlin licensing.
They're playing ball now for the most part, from what I can tell.
Yeah, in the beginning, it was always that it was just a language barrier. That it's not that they didn't want to comply; they just didn't understand that they needed to. I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. So I think they were just trying to get by with doing what they were doing. So
now they're doing much better at it now. They're playing the open source game just fine, in my opinion. I myself, I've gotten burned too many times by them, so you probably won't see it anytime soon back in our store. But right now, I can't fault them. I think that they're at least playing right in the world of open source. I think they're at least trying right now.
Yep.
So I'll give them credit there.
Well, and you really got kind of two options. You can be that guy that just comes in and tries to make as much money as you can possibly make as quickly as possible. Or you can be the person that comes in and does it right, establishes yourself in the community as a good, known, reputation company. So, the choice is theirs. So.
Oh yeah, trust me, I could be a lot richer if I didn't have all the morals that I have.
I've often thought that about things.
I could make a lot more money and do a lot more horrible and do a lot more, have a nice big house, but I don't have that level. I'm really bad at that part.
Start a secondary company called Printed a Little Less Solid.
Printed Liquid. I'm going to start Printed Liquid. It's going to be the exact same business, except for we only sell resin.
Printed a little bit softer, and then things aren't necessarily up front.
We'll just call it shady printing. I'll go after all the shady companies. But no, I mean, that's the thing, and that's why I honestly don't think Printed Solid is ever going to be that giant multi-billion-dollar company or anything like that. It's that I'm perfectly fine supporting the people I support and the companies I support, and I feel like I'm doing the right by them. So you're seeing that a lot, and that's why if you kind of look at the brands we carry and stuff like that, there's not a lot of huge controversy in them.
Well,
You know.
that just makes it easier to sleep at night too, because you don't have to deal with the drama.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be drama, but I can at least sleep knowing I have the right moral compass.
Right.
Well, it's like right now, Kay and I are working on our laser etching stuff, and we're coming up with designs, and we're making sure that we either draw our own designs or we find stuff that's completely royalty-free, open, on the internet. And then I see Etsy shops where it's like, oh, look, they've taken somebody else's drawing and then they've just, etched it onto something. And I'm like,
there are companies out there with bots that scan the art groups.
Yep.
Because
put it on t-shirts.
Somebody had like they created just like the most ridiculously stupid photo intentionally and posted it in the art group.
It was literally like the text of it, the text said like, "I bet you a bot steals this text and puts it on a shirt," and then asked everybody to upvote it or to
there you go.
to heart it.
And they did.
Yeah, within like 30 minutes, it was on a shirt.
Yeah, I mean that is crazy.
Yep. I mean, it's intelligent. That's the thing too, especially since, and maybe it wasn't used as intensely here, but machine learning has gotten so accessible, and there's so many free versions of it, and there's so many cloud services where you can go spin up a cluster of machines to actually do some basic stuff that pretty much anybody can start building algorithms to be like, hey, if this gets popular, do this with it, process it, spit it out into an image, and then superimpose it on a shirt, and then start advertising it, and no middleman required. We're all going to be replaced eventually, and there'll just be a bunch of computers arguing with each other on Twitter.
Yeah, well, and when I had my...
Well, they already are.
I had to do all that manually.
So if we get to 50 upvotes, I heard that Dave's going to take us on a tour of Printed Solid. So
50 likes, you mean?
50 thumbs up.
Yeah.
50 thumbs up, we'll go on a tour.
There are 53 people watching, so that's it. If you want a tour of Printed Solid, we need those thumbs ups.
Yep.
If you're not subscribed.
Until then, you get to sit, until then, you get to sit here and look at me sit at my desk with, a little bit of Jesse filament right behind us on the wall.
I've got some Jesse filament right here. I always have it nearby so I can show it off. You already know which one it is, though. It's the beige 500.
My secret nerd category.
Yep. Dave and I have talked about stuff.
Yeah, I got my Amiga 2000 pretty well tuned. I got it almost sealed up, but I got it up and running. Had to put all new caps on it, and just for people that don't understand how retro computers can be, this computer was made in 1988 and runs at 7.16 hertz.
Yep.
There's no M in there. And I have fully decked it out. It is up to 2 megabytes of RAM and has a 40 megabyte hard drive.
Wow.
It is screaming.
Are you using, is that the one that you're using SCSI to CF on it?
Yes.
Yep.
I have to kick it at 40 megabytes because that is the size limit of hard drives with that SCSI controller. With the actual onboard SCSI controller I'm using.
I still have a Windows 98 PC under my desk that has a bidirectional parallel port on it, because back in the day I bought the parallel port to Commodore 64 interface board so that I can download. So one of the functions is I could connect it directly to the C64 and it would emulate a disk drive, and then I'm all set. But I end up connecting a disk drive to the computer, writing images to it, and then reading them from the actual disk because that's more authentic to me.
Yeah, you mean press play on tape?
You know what? If it had been yesterday before I did the cleanup, my Commodore 64 tape drive was sitting just above the monitor here. I could have just reached over but there was a company. So back when the joysticks that you connect directly to the screen and they have like 25 classic games or whatever. Right. Back when they were kicking off, company got the rights to do a Commodore 64 joystick, and the guy that designed the board. So first of all, they built a chip that perfectly emulates the. Is it a 6502? I'm trying to remember what the processor in the C64 is now.
6502. I think that's correct because that's the same processor that's in the 1561 drive.
Yes. Oh, because that's the other thing too, is that most people don't realize the Commodore 64 floppy drive is actually like a standalone computer with its own operating system and stuff, and then it just communicates with it. And it's also part of the reason why it's so slow is the way they designed the bus to interact the two computers with each other. The drive is actually capable of reading a lot faster. It just can't transfer information to the computer that fast. Anyways,
I was going to say, make sure you finish up. I know where you're going with this because I know exactly who did that board design you're about to mention. So go right ahead. Make sure you get back to that one because it's a fun story.
So they built a chip that perfectly emulates or is a miniature version of the 6502. I don't remember if it was emulation. But when they designed the board, they fully exposed all of the test points to turn this joystick into a full-fledged Commodore 64. Except for it was missing the up on joystick 1 because I built one. And I remember there's one of the directions on joystick 1 was missing, but it had exposed connections so you could add a PS2 connector on it and connect a keyboard. The serial interface was exposed so you could connect a drive to it. I'm trying to remember what else. The cartridge slot wasn't exposed or wasn't there. But you could basically buy this joystick and then spend some time soldering, even with basic soldering skills, and turn it into a full-fledged C64. And they went as far as to, if you held down the control key on the keyboard, it would bypass the startup menu with all the games and go straight to Commodore Basic.
Wow.
And unfortunately, mine got wrecked during our move. And the price on them, because I was going to build another one, and the price on them skyrocketed because it was just the first run. There's been a lot of replacement Commodore 64 stuff, since then. But
now I do have to make one small correction in what you said.
By all means,
it wasn't a guy that developed that.
It was a girl.
It was a girl. Her name is Jerry Ellsworth.
I remember because the name Jerry was in my head, and that's why I defaulted to Guy. But yes, you're absolutely right.
Dare you assume?
So.
Lars chimed in and said it's a variant of the 6502 called 6510.
Yep. Those numbers get in there, but it's in that range. But yeah, I think you might be more right.
Yeah.
And Mitch said you now need a printed solid BBS toll-free number.
Fire that up so I can play Legend of the Red Dragon again. And I know there's a site you can connect to Telnet stuff online and still play it or whatever, but it's just not the same without the modem sounds.
Well, and I might still have messages waiting out there. It's funny because Matt, who was in here earlier, he's supposedly still watching, but Matt and I went to college together and we used to communicate across BBSs. So
I remember using my folks' old IBM 386 using Telex and a 2400 baud modem to connect to stuff. It was just mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
Memories.
The good old days before Facebook.
The good old days. My favorites, because getting floppy disk are getting harder and harder these days.
Yep.
And there's a company out there, GoTech, that makes a floppy emulator. Oh, sorry, I'll let you finish. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's literally a directly to floppy interface USB drive. So you take a USB drive, plug it in the front. My favorite, if you go on YouTube, there's actually a lot of hacks out there for it. And if you do it upright and get all the firmware going, you can actually have it mount a speaker to it. And you can deliberately slow it down to match the original speed of floppy disk. And the speaker will play the sounds of the floppy drive, grinding and changing tracks while it's loading the file. And the variation that I found actually knows which track on the disk it's supposed to be and has the sound profile for tracks 0 through 80. It is just, it's a ball to play.
I lucked out because I went looking for floppies, couldn't find any new ones other than ones that were exorbitantly priced on eBay. And I just so happened to put up a thing on the bulletin board at work. And a guy contacted me, he's like, I've got hundreds of them that are going in the trash, so you can have as many as you want. And he had dual density, high density. So he had the 720s, the 1.44s, and he had some of the 2 meg ones that they used to do for the Windows distributions.
Right.
So they formatted at like 1.8 megs and didn't require a special drive to read them. So I've got stacks of them now that, that's the problem though, is they're all basically rotting at the same speed. So it doesn't matter whether they're brand new still in the box or ones that have been being used. At this point, they're all just getting towards the end of life. But Yeah, those floppy drive emulators are absolutely fantastic. You can put like depending on the firmware, like 100 floppies on one USB stick, and then just select them using the number pad, and
then you're off and running. Which I bring up all this emulator stuff and all the retro stuff because that entirely circles back to the sole reason why I made those two colors.
Yep,
it was for my home project, so I launched it 2 colors. And put it out there in the market just so I could take one spool home to play with, and make one little part that used less than 5 grams. So I might have gone overboard on that.
What's the second color? Because I know about the beige 500.
I have tan 64.
I was okay. Well, I'm gonna. I'm so mad now. I was about to print. I have been working on a C64 case, a Pi case. I was about to print it in the beige 500, which is, like you said, a closer match to the Amiga, right? Like that's
that's a straight on match for the Amiga 500 and 1000 series. And the C64 was carefully researched to the most popular color used on the Commodore 64, the original bread box version.
Oh, it's hold on, I'm gonna get it. It's right here.
There's just 6 of them laying under his desk.
No, just
there were like 4 or 5 variations I found. Yeah, there were like 4 or 5 variations of the colors on those.
That guy there.
Yep, that color.
I just realized my shirt rode up, so everybody got a good view.
Well, we should get more thumbs ups then.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Happy Run said 3 more likes, please.
Yeah, this is my. So I've had this since the early 90s. I picked it up from. I think I traded somebody a stereo for it or something. He had a box full. So I've got this one, and then I've got the one that looks more like the 128, where it's the flat, the 2nd gen one.
The C series, yeah.
Yeah, this needs to be retrobrighted. This is because I opened it up to do some cleaning and saw the interior color versus what it's at now, and it deserves to be restored, but I also worry every time I take it fully apart and put it back together, it may not work.
Chris Riley said, I have tan 64 I can send you. I know a guy.
I'm not going to lie. I'm probably going to do it. I think everybody here's heard the story about me acquiring this stuff, because this stuff is very, very, very competitively priced if you're getting it shipped in the States.
Yeah, unless you live in Canada.
So it's what? I'm not going to say the price because I don't want to get it wrong. What is the price on the
$19 retail?
Yeah, so less than $20 a roll. So $40 for 2 rolls, and I ended up spending $100 to get 2 of them, and I don't regret it. That's the key point, is that I do not regret the extra shipping steps, because I mean, it's painstakingly set to not this, but to the Amiga style, and it's also closer to the other project, the color of the other project that I've talked to you about, that I won't talk about right now, but there is another project I'm going to be printing with this, which is why I bought 2 rolls of it. But now I'm going to go through Chris, and we'll get we'll get the proper color for the C64 before I print it.
So how far from the U.S. border do you live, James?
About 2 hours. Like, we could both drive there, and you could just throw it over the border. I'm sure nobody would have problems with that.
You have to throw it over that big mountain that's right on the border.
Just roll it up and roll it down.
Because I know another Canadian that he's probably only like 20 minutes from the border, so he has a USPO box.
But he can't get to it right now.
Not right now, no. Well, I don't know, because I seen some Canadians in town yesterday. I knew they were Canadian because they didn't drive very good. Oh, I'm going to take heat for that one.
Illegal Canadians.
So technically, I don't know why this didn't occur to me. I've got the C64 Mini, which is also supposed to have been painstakingly color matched to what the original design should be. So I should be able to put this side by side and see how badly it's discolored.
I love that word, painstakingly.
Well, here's the problem. Don't forget the C64, the original bread bin version.
Yep.
There were 4. I know of 4, and I've seen some people claim there's a 5th one, but I know of 4 different colors that were used during its lifetime. They just randomly changed it up. Unfortunately, that was pretty common for Commodore back then.
And the other snag we run into is that so the discoloration, as I understand it, is because they use bromine as a flame retardant in the plastic. And the bromine, as it breaks down over time and leaves the plastic, it basically discolors it, which is also partially why it can be somewhat reversed. But those this isn't a specific Commodore problem. Those colors those ratios, the ratios of bromine to plastic tended to change and be refined over time, which means that if you, for example, the Super Nintendo, if you bought a Super Nintendo that was first year versus last year run, the discoloration may be completely different, or like some parts may discolor and some not. So yeah, because it's actually not that this is a great color. It's not terribly far off, but I've certainly seen some original bread boxes, ones that were closer to a beige than this almost brownie color that these guys are.
Mm-hmm.
But
so even those have two different shades to it, even if you got past the retro bright aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, but
in other words, that was the hardest one to try and come up with a good color for.
Well, because it's compromised. It's a compromise for somebody, no matter how you look at it, right? That's the snag.
You should make all 4 colors, Dave.
and then sell a quarter of each, basically.
I'm a fanboy, just not that big of a fanboy.
Order the Commodore 64 color? Which one?
So did you say you matched the most common one, or you found a middle ground between the ones that you could find?
I matched the most common one I could find.
Okay, that's fair.
And I just started looking at everybody's reports and on all the little forums and boards and all that stuff, and I went, all right, this is the one I want. And then I found a 1571 drive from a school district that they put it in their basement and then just left it alone. Yep. And I opened up the drive and I did a color matching to the inside of the case.
That's the best way to do it, to be honest. Obviously, there still can be some discoloration, but at least it's not airtight, but has very little airflow and stuff.
Well, no UV, no UV's getting to it on the inside.
Yep. Yeah, so everything breaks down slower. But hey, we have 52 likes now, so
yeah. Now
we can disappoint everybody saying we lied.
Dave's actually at home, guys. It was
yeah.
All of a sudden, like all the thumbs up go to thumbs down.
Oh, now that you said that, that's definitely going to happen.
Well, all right. Go back to his chair.
Let's see here. Let me make sure I get this right.
Tony Ryan said, worst drivers in Washington State are from British Columbia, which made me chuckle. And then Bob said, worst drivers in Wisconsin are from Illinois. And then Dan said, I think you got that backwards. Oh, that's funny.
There we go.
Life was easier when it was just the Commodore 64.
All right, so I'm going to remove your other one for now, Dave.
Yes, please do.
You are strictly mobile, so you should be able to take your headset off.
So there we are.
All right.
You should be able to hear me now.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dave giving a tour of Printed Solid.
The roaming cam.
I'm going to make you full screen.
All right.
This is James. This is the opportunity for James and I to do whatever we want to because people can't see us.
And the pants are off.
All right, give me a second. I'm gonna flip camera around.
I guess we could do this way. Yeah, that'll work. Now everybody can see James without pants on.
It's true. You just got me cleaning.
So there we go. So we moved into this space about a little over a year and a half ago, and moved into this space going, I'm going to have a really awesome showroom and a classroom and a place to have meetups and all that stuff. I'm going to invest that money so I can have more people come visit. And then COVID. So we got a nice showroom with all of our fun little printers here. Got a couple of rail cores and, of course, all the Ultimakers over here. And then just for fun, I have my Vorons out and all the craft bots. And then I show off all my enclosures with different, Crowdy and Prusa printers and all our BOFA units and all that stuff.
Hey, I've been in that room.
Yeah.
As have I.
And then we have, our shelf of prints or our wall of prints that we kind of use for people when they come in. We get a lot of people who have never even 3D printed. So when they normally would come in, we could say, oh, and you can do this, and here's your metal fills, and here's your steel fills and woods, and you can paint, and here's the quality, and here's some, TPUs and all that stuff. So we have our fun. Then we have our wall of Jesse with a few extra shelves for some more to go in.
Room for those additional Commodore 64 colors.
Yes. And then we have the giant pickle or the giant Rick, of course.
I'm Pickle
And then
Rick.
we have, yep. And then of course we have the huge sword going down the hallway.
That's by Mike at Midnight Giant.
That's correct. That's
Yep.
his sword. We primarily came into it because he was too lazy to take it home with him, so it got stuck here.
I actually got there as they were hanging it. That was quite the undertaking.
And then Carl brought by his belt printer print, which is up there as well. So that's our longest wall. So we have that fun.
What is that print? Is that crown molding?
No. It's more of a it's more of a linear rail print.
Oh, okay.
Do you think how far away do you think we are from somebody actually printing their own crown molding for their house?
Well,
Not far off, in my opinion, but we shall see.
The ability exists. We just need somebody to actually do it.
I was going to say technology. Yeah, we've got it. We're there. Just somebody's got to want to take.
Want to do that.
Reality, if you're listening, if you send me a printer, I will print crown molding and put it up in my house.
And then we have.
I doubt they're listening.
And then we have Dustin's area. So if you ever call or do tech support or anything like that, Dustin's always in here answering. And because of COVID, his daughter sits there all day and does all her online classes while he works and sleeps there half the time.
Also, kudos to you for being understanding with families at this point.
No doubt.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. And then, of course, I have the really nice office with the IT equipment.
And the first aid kit.
And first aid kit and eye wash station because you see me, you probably want to wash your eyes. But we do that. My favorite is that I keep the nice security cameras on the wall for so I can see everybody and know what everyone's up to. Because for the most part here now everyone stays in their own section of the building and we rarely see each other, so it's kind of nice. I mean, it's kind of nice and you feel pretty good about stuff. And then you have Tony's area. So Tony will sit in here usually, and this is his office space. And we, of course, I got so busy I didn't have time to do it. So I gave him a tool changer and said, get it all fixed up and get it all working. So he's been getting that all up and going. And, of course, it's modified. It has got 4 Chimeras on it.
Ooh,
nice.
So
those are fancy boys.
Oh yeah. So he gets to sit here and do all that fun. And then we have our normal classroom / training / meetup area that is empty right now. It's kind of getting all the overflow of junk just because, well, COVID. Why not? Then we have the fun room.
This is where the beer is.
Yeah, this is where the beer is right now.
The fun room. Wasn't the fun room back there on the right?
So, but no, this is our extrusion line. And when I say that's our extrusion line, that's the extrusion line. But it's short. Giant mixer. We use that for mixing up all the pellets and colorants and all that stuff. We have 2 dryers right now. So 2 dryers, they dry the pellets before we extrude them. And then that's the raw extruder system right there. I always like to point this out because what was more expensive than the extrusion machine was all the electricity and transformers it took to get in this building to make it run.
That panel glows when the thing's running.
Pretty much. It's 3-phase, 480 volt, 200 amp service.
Whew.
It has its own electric meter just for this machine.
Wow.
So don't lick any of the contact points.
Yeah, pretty much. And don't go inside the machine. So, but that's the primary extruder there. And it actually has 6 heat zones. So when it's on, it will actually go through 6 different zones of heat to build up the temperature. And
That room must get very hot.
Surprisingly, it's not that bad. It does get warm, but it's not bad because we do have air conditioning in here.
Isn't that the worst part? You're paying for the heat, and then you're also paying to get rid of some of the heat.
Exactly. And then it'll come.
Can we pause right there for a second, Dave? There's a couple questions, and I don't want them to get lost.
Please go right ahead.
The first question is, can you make margaritas in the giant mixer?
Have not done that yet, but that's a good idea.
maybe for the next meetup.
Maybe for the next meetup.
And Mitch wants to know how you offer so many colors with only one line.
Headaches. No. Our secret is we run relatively small batches. So we usually run, batches of like 20 or 30 kilograms of each color during the day. And then we sell transition spools, which is when the machine's actually transitioning over.
That's one of the things that when I've talked to other manufacturers, I was surprised that other companies weren't doing that, because I can think of all sorts of practical purposes where I don't care what color the filament is. So why waste the plastic?
Right.
Well, here's the big thing that tends to happen is that you get cross-contamination. It happens a lot. And normally on these machines, there's a huge extra tank on the top, and there's additional plumbing that's over here and all that stuff. And I've ripped all of that out so that it's a very narrow path. It's actually a very light end extruder. And I use that because then literally between colors, while the machine's running, my workers can come in here and they'll scrub everything down on the machine as they're changing color. So you get the least amount of cross-contamination. And that's why we don't get that many transition spools.
Okay, we can continue. Oh,
okay.
No, another one. Ask Dave about the second line. Will it be on the on the other side of the caution tape?
Yes. So the room is big enough that I have thought about putting another line on this side of the wall. But I'm thinking that I just might, stop selling stuff and just make the entire warehouse extrusion lines. No, I'd probably buy another warehouse in the complex and then make shipping happen from that, and then just put more extrusion lines in the back of this building.
Gotcha.
So, all right. Then you move on to your cooling tanks. So there is actually 3 cooling tanks on this line, and 2 of them are connected. So we have our first one, and basically what they are is giant water tanks with hot water. The first tank's about 50 degrees Celsius water, and the second tank's about 40. And you can see it literally works its way down, and even the water flows over right there. That way it's always circulating water. When the actual plastic comes out of the end here, it goes into the water, and that's where it gets its final shape. That's where it gets stretched into its final shape. It literally floats in the water. That's how it gets its roundness. That's how you get it to its tight tolerances, is that it's how fast you pull it through the water, how much water's flowing, and how everything's level inside here. It passes through so fast that there's no moisture absorbed back into the filament, so you don't have to worry about that.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that that's where the shape and the tolerances actually came from.
So quite literally, depending on how I configure this, I can actually get it 285 or 175 in here with just changing how the water flows and how fast I actually pull it.
Huh.
And just for entertainment value, this machine here pulls around 100 amps of power just for this part, for all the heater bands that are on it.
Wow.
Then you got 50 amps for that and 50 amps for that.
Okay, so that's almost as much power as I'm using for my Christmas lights.
Probably just the front of your house. But all this tank, and the reason why this thing uses so much power is because it's quite literally just 2 giant water heaters heating a lot of water. So they're just 2 hot water tanks. So imagine if you let your hot water on all day long at your house.
Well, the temperature we're talking about, it's like double hot tub, basically. A little bit hotter than a hot tub on one side, yeah.
Exactly. And then it'll come down, and it goes into the third tank. Now, this is the cooling tank. This is really nice cold water, and it passes through here, and this is where it locks in the shape. This is where it gets final lock on everything. And so that's cold water that flows over it, and that's where it gets its final shape. Then it comes down to this. This is probably the hardest part of this is probably where most of the work's done, is at this one machine here, which is because 3 different machines all at once. Actually, it's 4 machines all at once, but we'll explain that. There is the air knives. So the filament passes through these 2 tubes here, and it blows off any water that's sticking to the outside of the filament. And then after that, it passes through this machine here, which I'm going to stick my finger in there because it's not 1.75. It's even too far out for it, but let's say, let's stick that in there. Maybe that'll set it off. Oh, that's too big. You know what? Let me get some junk filament here just so I can explain it to you.
I was going to make a crack about somebody else's filament, but I decided not to.
Oh. So this here, that's actually within tolerances, but this is a dual axis laser. So as the filament goes through the machine here, it will report back the measurement of the filament in 2 different directions, and then the average. So you get the x-axis, the y-axis, cool, and then the average.
And right, pretty much bang on 1.75. It was there for a second, so
it gets pretty close, and we promised, plus minus 0.5, but we find that most of the time we are running plus minus 0.1. So you see there, that would be pretty darn good right there. That bottom number is the number you really focus on, the 1747. So, but that's how it passes through. And after it passes through there, it goes through this tractor, which is literally just sets of rubber wheels behind some safety doors. And it pulls the filament. Now, what it's doing, as you see down this whole line here, it pulls faster or slower based on the diameter, based on how fast it's extruded and how fast it goes through the water. And that's how it sets the diameters, that this speeds up to stretch more.
That's really cool.
So that's how it makes the decision on how fast to pull the filament from here, based on how fast I'm extruding down there and how fast this is here. Now, what makes it interesting is that the extruder down there is no technology or communication between that and this. They don't know what the other one's doing. This one just looks at how thick the plastic is through the laser and says, I'm going to spin faster or slower. That's all it tells it.
Wow, that is really cool.
Okay. Then, go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's an overall question, so I'll let you wrap up.
Gotcha. Oh, I'm nowhere close to wrapping up. There's a little bit more here to do, but it comes out and it goes through this series of wheels. So it literally gets wrapped around these wheels over and over and over and over. The reason why is that this series of wheels moves that way and moves quite literally down the whole length of the room. The reason why it does that, this is what they call an accumulator.
All right.
Now, the reason why that is because after you spend the whole morning tuning that down there and getting it all working and get all the water flow and all the right numbers here and the speed just right on that, you can't stop. The machine always has to spit out filaments. And there's nothing you can do about it. It just always has to come out. So the accumulator holds it for you. It literally just, if you stop putting it on spools, it moves down and then it comes back and so forth.
Huh.
So that's the buffer for all the room. Then it comes down and goes through a counter. This literally just is here just to count how many turns, and that's how you count how much filament's on a spool. And then that is the spooler. And the way the spooler works is you'll put a blank spool right there on it. And while it's going on, you see it moving back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
And gives you your nice tight lines.
And that's how we get on the spool. This one's okay. I definitely want to invest and get the really pretty filament on the spool, but this one works pretty good. I just want to get some better equipment to get that pitch perfect spool.
All right,
And
so
then-
a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Scott Hack Monkey asked, how does a water cooling line vary compared to air like Protopasta shows off?
Arguably, I think Protopasta, since they are extremely custom filaments, I think that they're better suited for air cooling because air cooling is a much shorter path, but they have to go considerably slower.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't think that there is a benefit to say air cooling or water cooling is better or worse, because neither one of them adds moisture or prevents moisture from going into the machine. Air cooled is a shorter path, but does require much slower running machinery.
Okay. Clint asks, what is the speed you're extruding at?
Well, the numbers are completely arbitrary on these machines, but the short answer is it takes about 6 to 7 minutes to make a spool, a 1 kilogram spool.
I think that's a good answer. Uncle Ron wants to know if the red Solo Cup is pre-staged for the next get-together.
That's actually used for the when one of the water tanks overflows, they can use that to quickly scoop out water into a 5-gallon bucket.
Uncle Ron's always good at catching the really small details.
When they're when they're related to alcohol.
Maybe when related to get-togethers. Ron Happy Extruder wants to know if you ever changed the part that you improvised on the line.
Oh, yes. So it's actually changed out to a much more stable counter here. So because the Arduino board worked, but it wasn't as efficient. So it would glitch every once in a blue moon. So I changed it out to a much more stable counter that I got. And then I just laser cut a whole plate for it to put that in there.
Oh, laser cut. Yeah, rub it in.
Of course.
The next question, Mitch wants to know how accurate is 1 kilogram. He said, by weight, I thought it's about 330 meter per kilogram.
Arguably, that's about right. The problem is that every filament, as weird as it sounds, no one actually sells it by the kilogram. Everyone sells it by the length. And different colors have different weights, if you didn't know.
That would make sense.
Yep.
So you kind of take your lightest filament and say, how many links of that does it take to equal 1 kilogram? And then all the people that buy the heavier filaments just kind of get a little bit more and don't realize it.
More weight, but technically they're getting
the same print distance.
They're getting the same amount of print. It's just it weighs a little bit more.
Yeah, it was always weird to me that printer filament was sold by weight, but
it's bizarre, and it makes us all have to translate it into a number, and they're kind of fudgy numbers because everyone should be working off links.
Well, maybe you should start that.
Yeah. I can't change the world all at once.
Be an innovator, Dave. Be an innovator.
The problem with being the innovator is that when somebody goes and look, I want a good 1 kilogram roll of filament, then printed solid stuff won't pop up anymore.
Well, he could still put 1 kilogram, but then he could also put 330 meters.
330 meters. But yeah. So, but our machine is actually a little more arbitrary because, by the way, this machine here, if you wondered why Polyalchemy was not making filament for almost a year there, it's because I bought their machinery.
I knew that. And then when they've popped back up, it raised the question of, where's that filament coming from?
So no. He decided, he was like, I miss my machinery. I want to do it again. And that's why he's doing it.
Yeah.
So he started up again for that reason. But that meant that all this equipment came from China, which was running on an odd voltage and an odd frequency. So I had to tear, with no manuals, I had to tear apart every piece of machinery here and completely rewire it for American power.
Well, that sounds fun.
How many times did you shock yourself?
Surprisingly, none yet. But that's because I'm just paranoid. I'm not good. I'm just paranoid.
You haven't gotten gutsy about it yet.
Mitch said you should sell it by the furlong.
So,
Microtech wants to know, do you think you'll ever produce enough, Jesse, to use a European distributor so that they can get some in the UK?
Canada first.
I really want to, and Canada is definitely first. I have people up there that want to carry it up there. I just have to make enough. I need to be able to make enough to get through Black Friday, and then I can make enough for the rest of the distributors.
Yeah, James himself wants to carry it in Canada.
I will fill my basement, but I won't sell any of it. I'll just use it.
He'll just use it.
It all just keeps disappearing, Dave. I don't know where it went.
You'll just see my set transform. I'll have a chair built out of printed solid boxes. Everything I do is brought to you by Printed Solid.
All right, so here's some other fun cute little things that are in here that are just kind of entertaining. That is an ionizing fan. So that specifically points at the spool while it's on here, and it's primarily because a lot of static is built up on the filament while it's coming through here. So it removes the static so it holds less dust and no dust on the filament itself before it goes on a spool, so that there's no dust in the bags or on the spool.
Nice.
And then for the operator, remember I told you we don't put a lot of pellets in the machine at once. We do it in very small batches. I keep a security camera up here pointed down at the barrel so that whoever's operating the machine knows when to run down there to pour more pellets in.
Okay.
So, and that's why I have all these rubber mats so the operator can run up and down the line all day long.
That's the Printed Solid weight loss program.
That's right. And then that is my wall of colors. So let's say I walk over here and I want to look at the Tan 64. That is the Tan 64 right there.
Nice.
And so that's the colorant. And the lab that I use after I match these colors and all this stuff, they get the mixture. But what happens is I send them my pellets and they will combine it down to actually make all the colors that we use. So they get the raw pellets from me and then I go and mix it in.
Nice.
So if you want golden winner.
Better quality control that way.
A closer match. And there's your golden winner. You can see it kind of already has multicolor to it. And that's primarily because there's so much glitter in there. They actually rely on 2 different pellet formats to make it work. So, but that is our golden winner.
Paul Cumber would like to know if you can make an army green.
Oh, we already have an army green. It's called army green.
So yes.
Where is that one? Yeah, we called it army green because we have a few good we have a couple of former military people in our office. But there's our army green.
That looks right.
Yeah, but the only problem with that is like when you go to print, you're just constantly reloading. I mean, those aren't very long spools.
So that's the colorant that we use. So these bucket here are already pre-dried pellets. So these are the raw pellets. So that is raw PLA pellets right there. And there's 15 kilograms in each one of these buckets.
It's an excellent pasta replacement.
Yes. And what I'll do is that they get a different ratio, and they'll actually take a bucket of this, the right proportions of the color, throw it in the mixer down there, and mix it all nice and evenly. And distribute it down.
Now, I know you said you used to have a camo color, but you can't find it.
So that's why they pay us the big bucks, Dave.
Yes, exactly. And then what we have is the vacuum sealing machine. So that's how you get that nice little vacuum seal on everything. And I keep a separate vacuum sealing machine just for the big spools, because the big spools won't fit in there. And then of course, there's the Paleto spools. So there's your welding spools.
Yeah, that absolutely looks like a welding spool too. So that's pretty funny.
Looks just like that.
It looks just like that. So that's how it comes in. And that's
you got
pretty
somewhere
much
to
the
be there,
experiment.
Dave? Oh.
No. My
Nice,
phone ding or my watch dings every time there's a sale.
nice watch, by the way.
Oh, thank you. But that is our extrusion machine room. One of our workers, she's in college right now, so she's been doing all her class schedule stuff. So
On company time, shame.
exactly. No. If they're in school, I want them to get good grades.
Of course.
And then
But if you make them get worse grades, you can pay them less.
oh yeah, exactly, right?
And they won't leave you for a better job.
That's right.
Uncle Ron wants to know if those spools are any better for spool racer wheels.
They should be.
Probably would be.
Yeah, they would be way more heavy duty than a typical spool.
It's what I would use if I was building a cart because it'd have to hold 350 pounds.
All right. And then this is how the raw pellets come in. So they'll come in these giant containers, which are called Gaylords.
That's correct. Yep.
So that is a Gaylord, and that's what they call a super bag.
So
The difference.
the bigger question on that is, have you ever climbed into the pellets?
I've wanted to.
Would you do it now while you're streaming?
Yeah, would you do it for us right now?
It would definitely contaminate it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
what's
you could just
funny
call
is,
it David's Own. It's the David's Own line of filament.
What's funny is you'd think that you could just jump in it like a ball pit, but I think it would be like jumping onto a sack of concrete.
Yeah,
it really is. I mean, it's very tough.
It's like all the people that have commented on Scrooge McDuck's swimming pool full of coins where he dives into it. It's like, no, he would just die. That's the way that would work.
Break his neck, right?
Yep. Hi, Paul Cumber. Paul Cumber said, "Hey, James."
Carl said scented filament, the wrong scent.
So for entertainment value, they call this a Gaylord. A Gaylord holds 750 kilograms. And then what the industry calls super bags holds 1,000 kilograms. And the only difference is that a super bag you can put on a forklift and empty out the bottom if you want to.
Oh, that's what the arms are for, or the handles are for. Then they're spaced out.
Exactly.
No, that's for Dave to pick it up with his forearms.
Yeah. There we go. No.
So if that makes 1,000 kilograms of filament, does that bag weigh 1,000 kilograms?
Yes.
So I mean, even through the process, it doesn't lose weight. Like nothing's baking off of it.
Arguably, there is a little bit of loss, but a lot of that loss is just due to the tuning of the machine.
Also, you're adding the colorant, which is adding additional weight to it.
Yes, and even after that, after you get past the moisture removal, if there is any, and then you get past extrusion loss, there is a little bit lost to heat, but it is. I mean, we're talking we're 5% or less loss.
Interesting.
So this is give or take. If on a perfect day, I call it 10% due to the real waste. So this is probably 900 spools of filament right here.
That's about a week's worth of usage.
Yes.
On the FK1.
And then there's a few more in the back there for now. And then there's a bunch more up front.
Nice.
So, but that's how the material is. Now, here's the entertainment thing. When we're tuning the machine, you have to push a lot of filament through the machine, to kind of get it to the right diameters and tune the machine in the morning. So you end up putting it on a spool. Well, I don't want to use my own spools because it ends up in the trash. I don't want to pay to throw something away necessarily. So there's this company on the other side of the parking lot called Maker Box. And they go through all the other manufacturers' spools and they pull it off their spools to make samples out of it.
Right.
And I go over to the trash cans at night and I pull out all the spools from the other manufacturers and I use that to tune the machine with.
It's kind of like wiping your butt on their flag, isn't it?
They puts on a ninja outfit and then sneaks over and digs through the dumpster.
Actually, they just park it outside my door so they don't have to throw it away. So the spools get reused there a couple times, which is fun. And then that leads us into the warehouse, which I'll give you the more appealing view because we have the cute little ladder.
Oh, we didn't even have to pay extra for this. Tony Ryan would like to know how much, I guess, if any, trouble are you having right now getting raw PLA pellets?
It's pretty troublesome. That's why I have to buy so much of it at a time. So I got 10,000 kilograms in the warehouse. Sorry, it's about 12,000 right now. About 12,000 kilograms in the warehouse right now, and I already got more on order in hopes of it coming in.
Wow.
So this is our normal warehouse, and that's where we just sell and ship all the stuff from. And our forklift is over at the other building right now. And what we've been doing for the Black Friday guys is I have one guy that's over in front of that bay door loading up carts for all the shippers. And then I have another guy over here in front of this door loading up carts for all the shippers. And they just keep filling up pallets of orders, getting them out as fast as possible.
On behalf of Chris Riley, Tony Ryan is asking how many benchies are in one super bag.
So there's 1,000 kilograms and it takes what, 30 grams of material?
So 100, 300, 300,000 benchies.
I got 33,000, but my math might be off. I might have missed a zero. You might have added one. Either way, that's a lot of benchies. I
would trust your numbers better. You're in Canada and you use metric up there.
Yeah,
I opened calculators.
Mitch is asking if he said, can you do master spools?
So that is a whole separate machine for spooling that on. I get asked that a lot, and you'll excuse me while I get on a pedestal about master spools for a second.
Oh, good. This is going to be a great conversation.
I love master spools as a concept, but as soon as you actually do it, I feel that it doesn't help squat. And here's the reason why. A spool, somewhere between 100 to 300 grams of plastic is used for a spool, which is fine. That's about what you'd do. But you have to imagine the master spool people, the amount of people that, quote, have a spool of filament that comes tangled free from the factory, which we know that's an argument. We're going to skim past that part. But you take those people and then you put on top of that them not handling master spools properly, and the amount that they have to print that first master spool or buy one or anything like that. The amount of times that they could not screw up just to save on that plastic is insane. So
my use case that's worked for it so far is that, especially when I was doing the PPE, I was buying black and white PETG and I was ordering the master spools of it. And because I was only ever using two colors, because like my issue with the master spool is like if you use 50 colors and you buy all 50 colors on master spool, you have a master spool for them, and then they just end up sitting on your shelf until they're used up. Yep. So the time it's worked for me is I was printing in just black and white, and as soon as one roll was done, I was dropping another one on, and I went through about 20 master spools that way. But like as I was going through it, I became very aware of the fact it's like if I wanted red, I would have to make another master spool to put that on.
Or you have to unspool the one that you currently have, which is a pain in the butt.
And not screw it up.
And then the issue that I have is like as it's spooling off, it pulls the filament down between the roll of filament and the spool because it's not spooled tightly to the spool that it was on.
Yeah, it ended up being a real art form to me where I'd like tighten it as much as I could, and I'd cut the cable ties and pull them out, and then I'd tighten it even further. And the only problem I ran into, which may have negated the savings, was I came downstairs and it was about 3/4 of the way through one of the spools, and the spool had snagged on the side, and it was one of the master spools where the two pieces just twist into each other, and they had untwisted as the roll of filament came out, and I came out and there's just filament spread across the actual spindle that the spool was on. So
I would argue that master spools aren't a savings thing. You have to look at them as only an environmental thing.
Sorry, that's what I mean. Like it's been environment. Only I'm talking about the savings of the amount of plastic I saved by not having the extra, like having them come on their spools might have been negated because I lost like half a spool on that one turn or whatever. So,
Well,
Plus
I heard that you can take your empty spools and sell them to welding wire companies.
So that's the problem is that we run into as the spools. Now the cardboard spool is an interesting concept, but man, they are really hard once you hit 1 kilogram to keep them still functional.
Well, because they're so much more flexible, right? Like,
right.
Yep.
Well, also don't forget they're also hydroscopic.
Yep.
True.
So all they're doing is holding moisture next to it. So you have to find some way to have cardboard next to it and make it really functional. So I mean, out of all the spools designs that are out there, I think the most environmentally conscious one that I've seen has been the Prusa one. I'll be honest. That's the most environmentally conscious spool I've seen out there.
Yeah, because it's the most minimal amount of plastic that you could do and still keep the form and the strength.
Yep.
But, yeah, no, when they came out with the whole thought on Master Spool, I thought that is great because that's going to be less stuff you're throwing away. And then they were saying, oh, well, it's going to be cheaper. You'll be able to buy it cheaper. It'll ship cheaper. And none of that really came to be true.
No. It's 100% environmental. And I honestly see too high of a failure rate to honestly tell people you're saving the environment by using that, unless you are the perfect person using one color, all the time, and you've never made a mistake in your life.
The spools that you guys use, are they recyclable?
They are not recyclable because they are already recycled. They're already recycled styrene products.
Gotcha.
So that's one of the benefits of them. The welding wire people, they've just always used recycled styrene to make them, so they can't put a recycling label on them for that reason.
Because they've already been recycled.
Since they've already been recycled. I have, heavily talked to other companies and manufacturers, not in the 3D printing space, but in the plastics space. And Lord knows, if I had the money, I would probably have my own injection molding machine here and my own pelletizer so that I could actually recycle spools and bad plastics into spools and make my own here in house.
That would be awesome.
Well, you heard it here first.
Coming 2021.
Yeah, I doubt that one. But if I could, and if you guys all of a sudden make me super rich, I will do that in a heartbeat.
Tony Ryan said he's planning on developing a spool made of pasta. That way you can have lasagna when you finish off a spool.
PLA only, though. You don't want ABS in your dinner.
How about
it gives a ting.
Spools made out of chocolate, so it's worth eating when you're done.
That could work. But yeah, that's the 10-cent tour of this place, and I can't really take you over to the other building because the Wi-Fi drops out then. But we have a whole separate building we use just for the manufacturing of enclosures. Yeah,
we'll have to have you on again for that run because that was really cool to get to see all of that too.
And that place has been overhauled since last time you were here because we had to change it all up.
Well, that's exciting.
So, but let's see. You guys should be able to hear pretty decently. You might be entertained by this. Basically, with the large VFD that's on this and the large transformer.
Oh, I know it's coming.
This is what it takes to shut it down. I literally have to break the breaker and listen for how long it takes for the power to finally turn off. So that's just the residual charge.
Wow.
That's what, 22 seconds?
Give or take, right in there. That's what it takes to discharge 480 volt 3-phase.
Well, not if you put your fingers to the contacts. It happens instantly at that point.
Much better to use your tongue.
Only works once.
It only works once, but it smells like barbecue.
Steven wants to know if you agree that the Atomic has the coolest looking spools in the business.
I agree. I think they make a very cool looking spool. I know he's been reworking it because there was some shipping damage on a couple of them just because, UPS sucks.
FedEx is worse.
And they were just like, slamming his spools on the ground and would crack the sides or the corners.
Wow.
But I know that he got that figured out and fixed.
Bob Carnes wants to know how much for all of the making your own spools. He said we'll kickstart it.
I did the number. It was going to be about $120,000 to $150,000.
Oh, that's a piece of cake. We could get the community together on that.
There you go.
You just have to put all of our names on every spool that comes out.
I like the Amiga 1000. Okay, I'm down with that.
Tom Lama says bacon spools. At least make them smell like bacon. That would be fun.
Yep. And of course, I got my famous, that's my real trophy right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Actually signed by him.
Back when we were allowed to hang around people.
Back when we were allowed to be in the same room as strangers.
Yep.
Back when humans weren't evil.
That's never been. I'm afraid humans being evil has never been not true.
Yeah.
Or highly infectious. Let's use that as the term.
I was going to say back when people weren't dirty, but you people have always been dirty. That's why I stay at home all the time.
That's why the internet's so popular.
We just brought our filth online. Okay.
Uncle Ron wants to know if you'll have to add another transformer if you add a second line.
Yes.
So you'd have to duplicate all of the electrical you brought in for that one.
Absolutely.
Do it again.
So actually,
your own power plant.
Well,
sorry, good.
I was going to say there's a reason why I'm in this specific building, and it is because it is the power distribution for the rest of the buildings in the area. So the transformer starts at my building.
Well, that way, if you overpower it, you get to keep power, and everybody else gets shut down.
That's right.
What's that old term? Brownouts roll downhill.
Carl had asked, and I read it and then forgot.
Oh, it's so dark.
Carl wants to know if you're ever planning on doing 5K and 10K spools.
Right now, the machine is the hard part. Oh, I can't see, but the first light you see all at the end there, that's where the transformer is on the back of the building. But the machine right now, at most, seems to be able to handle 3 kilogram spools. It's going to require
the winding machine, right? That is what limits correct. That.
So just the winder itself. And the main reason why, and it's pretty simple, this arm here has to move down about 6 inches to get to 5 and 10 kilogram spools.
That makes sense. And the wheels that go back and forth, wouldn't they need to also come out further?
They're easily adjustable. I can actually turn those back, and they're all on that. But this is a fixed position.
Gotcha.
So I'd have to drop that down about there, and that's a bit of work with the belting and the machinery and all that stuff. Because that's a 3 horsepower motor on that.
Well,
just to spin the spool.
It is for Carl. Couldn't you wind him by hand just for him?
That's the catch, and it's because I know Carl brought me I think it was a 5 kilogram spool, and I tried to fit that on the machine, and that's where I found out that's what it's going to take to make it all rework.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Uncle Ron wanted to know if you were peeing out the back door.
Oh no! I didn't know if the lights were on the back side of the building or not. I was going to show you where all the power comes in. They had to run a 6-inch duct down the back of the building for us.
Nice. David FL would like to know when you will be making Pet G.
So, well, I'll show you this because I'll show you exactly why Pet G is slow to come to printed solid. It is because Pet G requires different drying techniques on the pellet side.
We're going to keep asking Dave questions that make him have to walk to the other end of the building.
I do this all day.
Paul Cumber wants to know what the other side of the building looks like. Go.
Yeah, what was that thing on the front shelf?
How long does it take you to do a lap?
Yeah, trust me, if you guys keep this up, I might actually lose weight.
Secret cardio.
or die trying, one or the other. Huh?
But that's the dryer that I've been working on for the last couple of months on and off to get up and running, and now to be my PETG dryer.
Nice.
And this is a special dryer. PTG has to be even drier than PLA before you extrude it.
And it's more hydroscopic.
And this is a true desiccant dryer. So it actually has, you look, and these are fascinating machines if you're curious on this. So those 3 gray containers on the top, those are desiccant containers.
Okay.
Each one of those containers is full of desiccant, just like you would expect. And you know you can recharge desiccant by heating it up, right?
Right.
So this whole wheel turns. And it has a separate heater that heats it up hot enough to dry a desiccant in one, while it's absorbing desiccant in another one, while one is cooling.
Neat.
And so it constantly cycles the hot air through and keeps drying out the plastic pellets in the machine until the desiccant's completely full.
I was literally just about to make that joke. Now I'm mad.
Bob S said, just use a fillet dry.
I was politely waiting for it to say and say, you know what, you're wasting your time. All you have to do is toss a fillet dry in the line before it goes to the spool and you'll be all set.
But so that's what I've been working on. This is a huge convoluted mess that I've been dealing with, trying to get it to work accurately and get the temperatures down. But as soon as that's working, that will be what dictates the launch of PETG.
That's exciting. Because then shortly after, we need to launch Fun King 3D Yellow PETG.
There you go. And you can see here, originally, all of those shelves were full of Jesse PLA on both sides.
Wow.
And that's what you guys did over Black Friday. And they're still not done pulling all the orders for the stuff that was on the shelves.
That's exciting.
Did you? You must have sold out with some colors then.
We are sold out of a lot of colors, and as of right now, we only have about 600 spools of any color left.
Yeah, 1 kilogram of Army greens are sold out.
Yep.
Can I make the camo joke again?
There's our camo shelf right there. You see it all?
There we go.
Well, I
can't believe none of it sold.
Printed Solid does have the invisible filament. Xander used it one time in his Xander's Thing Thursday. Sergio wants to know if he goes to pick something up at Printed Solid, will you take all of his empty spools?
If there are spools, absolutely. So if you bring our spools back to him, we can reuse our spools. We can't use, of course, that's just bad if I reuse other people's spools, but we can reuse our spools.
What if you just slap your name on other people's spools?
Well, that's just evil. That's just that's a moral problem for even me.
Yeah, but it's recycling.
Yeah, but then you sit there and feel like you got to send a check to the other company.
Do you though?
I know, right? It's a weird area.
Shouldn't they be sending you the check for recycling?
For recycling their goods.
That argument's the same one where Sony was like, you have to pay $10 to us if you buy a used game from somebody else. Like, no, you already made your money off the product.
Well, it's kind of like, when you buy a used car and they charge you tax on it when somebody else already paid tax on it when they bought the car.
So do you want me to make you guys drool a little bit?
Am I going to be mad about this?
I was going to say, like we haven't already. Wow.
That's so organized.
So that's all of our E3D and Slice and Bondtech, all the small stuff.
Nice. I love those cabinets.
That sure beats my leaving stuff on the floor where it fell approach.
So if you need some, pulleys or the probes or some Bondtech heat sinks or blower fans and all the E3D stuff, there you go. However, we have a separate cabinet just for nozzles.
Oh, that's the nozzle drawer.
That's the nozzle drawer. That usually makes people drool a little bit when they see that. I drool still when I look at it.
I could never keep that organized.
That's our shipping guy. He is organized. That's why he is top of my list. So, but the humor is that I take COVID seriously, and you know how there's always the shortage of the toilet paper and the Lysol and all that stuff.
Right.
since I have to, keep 2 buildings, like 12 people safe, I've managed to be able to hoard enough gloves and Lysol and wipes and all that stuff.
Oh, that's why I can't get any. Oh,
And that keeps the 2 buildings fresh. And I got to tell you, as a business person, that was the scariest thing, was making sure you had enough of the cleaning supplies to keep everyone, clean and safe and feeling good. Because it wasn't like they were sitting there going, here, your business, you need to protect your people. You get in front of the line. No, I had to be out there at Costco at 8:00 in the morning, run into the back to grab a can of Lysol.
Oh, you were one of those people.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sitting there running to the back going, I got it.
I might have seen you on YouTube.
Climbing to the top of the pile. So, but yeah, that's been our fun, and that's kind of what we did. Kind of proud. I make everyone take their temperatures every morning when they come in. So every door has a little thermostat next to it. So it's pretty nice. It's been hard to make sure everyone stays as healthy as possible. But yeah, that's and then of course that's our wall of boxes. That's all the different box sizes we have to keep track of. For here. Wow. And then that bin is a bin of recycled PETG that's been sitting there waiting on that dryer to get finished for me to play with and work out all the problems.
Well, I mean, what have you been doing?
I've been sitting in my office sleeping most of the time.
That's fair. That's what I do. That's why I got the pillow on the back of my chair here. So that's how I really broke my chair. I fell asleep and leaned back too far one time.
And then, of course, I got a couple of small boxes over here of some PLA++ mixes that I'm working on.
The extra ingredient is love.
Yes. And dog hair.
That's what makes it. That's what makes it Jesse.
So, but yeah.
I legitimately came downstairs the other day and I had a print that I was doing that had multiple color or filament changes in it. And I pulled it off and there was a piece of cat hair sticking out from between 2 of the layers. And I'm like, well, it fell off my shirt, I guess.
I wonder where that came from.
What is that thing, Dave?
Oh, this thing?
Yeah.
This is an air conditioning unit for the warehouse.
Wow.
And you said he has no chill.
Yeah, I know, right? So it's a giant air conditioner for my workers during the summer, so that they don't, because the heat in here is great. It's the summer that the cooling is not that great, so I got that for them.
And that cools the whole area?
It's a 15-ton air conditioner.
Nice.
It would have been funnier if it was a miniature air conditioned room, so every 15 minutes somebody can go sit in it.
You go sit in the booth. Go sit in the cool booth.
It's cheaper to air condition this like 2 feet by 8 feet area than it is to air condition the whole thing. So you get to take turns.
I'm just thinking I need one of those for in my garage.
So, but yeah, it's kind of funny how I came upon that because of COVID, because I bought it off a party rental company that was going out of business because no one was having parties.
Wow.
Unfortunately, that's the story for too many small businesses, and it's not even all small businesses, but
small and medium. And the restaurants, I have in our complex, we have a couple of gym people, and they've been hit hard by it too. So, I've been trying to help them out, and most of them were forced shut down. So I said, just if you have deliveries or mail or something, I'll check it for you every day. So
yeah, these are definitely hard times.
So we're kind of checking those places for them, keeping them awake for now, or alive for now, as it were. All right, I'm gonna turn off the warehouse light, so it's gonna get dark for just a second.
Oh, I'm afraid of the dark.
I saw this. This is Slender Man.
Yep.
I thought we were watching the Blair Witch Project.
All right. Now we're in the light part of the building. So, but yeah, that is our place. Now you know all the secret entrances and where all the security cameras point, and
now we can come rob you.
Yeah, the code in the place that you use to come grab everything. So
that was 1, 2, 3, 4, right?
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The same as my luggage.
Oh, okay.
Now, would you guys ever consider setting up cameras and doing a like just a running live stream of you guys making filament?
I've done that a few times. I've done it a few times for myself, but I would say, in all honesty, my employees, I would say they probably don't want to. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, privacy and whatnot.
But when I make it, yeah, I'll turn on the camera usually just because I'm bored.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh.
You gotta unmute your other your headset or whatever.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Oh, no.
Oh, come on. Says I left. Okay, so now it should be fine.
Yes.
Okay, now we're good. Sorry to anybody out there that was wearing headphones. Whew.
Sorry about
I'm not
that.
apologizing to them.
You guys shouldn't be wearing headphones. Well, that actually timed out perfectly because we are now 3 minutes after 6 o'clock. So that was
And we're
perfect.
3 or 4 minutes late starting. So
that was perfect. Like almost like we planned it or something.
Yep. And Tony asked about custom colors. We do that, but it gets kind of expensive. Usually it's about $1,000 to match a color, which is a bit high for a lot of people.
but if you want to bring them $1,000, you know.
You know, if you really need that color, you can do $1,000 and get you that color going.
And that's per roll, guys. That's per roll.
No, I'll be nice. It's $1,000 to set it up to him, and it's $500 per roll.
But if you buy 100 rolls, he'll give you a 10% discount.
Yes.
But not on the $1,000 part.
The savings just start to pile up.
So, I'm still trying to master bright silver. There's a shimmer to it that I'm trying to get right, and the lab guys and myself have been playing with stuff. And I got to tell you, that's the weirdest part is when you just shove stuff into the machine and say, "Hey, let's see what this does."
Yeah, but that's got to produce some really cool stuff at times.
Sometimes.
And sometimes not so much.
Other times it's just brown.
Yeah. Most of the time it's brown.
Well, and then I think it's absolutely hysterical that you did the fluorescent brown. Because like growing up, people would always, what's your favorite color? And I'd always say fluorescent black. And they'd be like, fluorescent black or fluorescent clear, but
I just got to say, I made that because all the community people were just like, we want fluorescent brown, we want neon brown. And then I sold like 20 spools of it.
I didn't even know that was a thing. What does neon brown look like?
It glows in the dark under black light.
Under a black light, yeah. It like looks orangey under a black light.
I'd be printing the poop emoji, a bunch of them.
Nope.
Well, what else?
It's a little bit lighter brown too, so some people actually like it as a color, and not because none of its novelty feature.
What you got to figure out then as a maker, when you print, like you have to like print where that is incorporated into it, so when you highlight it, you can see like hidden text.
That would be fun. That would be a good one.
Uncle Ron wants to know if there's a special W3DP discount for printed solid. Yes, all of our sales are live today.
And go till midnight tomorrow.
Oh, midnight tomorrow. Oh yeah, Cyber Monday. I forgot about Cyber Monday. So yeah, all of our discounts are good all the way until midnight tomorrow, which is technically midnight Tuesday. Never really knew how that worked, but
I just say 12:01 Tuesday.
Yeah, get your orders in by tomorrow, and then you'll be good. And you don't even need a code for our special discounts.
That's right. Because we got lazy this year with our sale. If you didn't notice, every year you'll see everyone tries to make this huge list of 50,000 things and a special discount for each one, and like $50 here and $20 here and all that stuff. This year I said, I don't want to do that extra paperwork. All right, we're just going to do a 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 category, and then just shove everything in there. And we'll have the sale will just be Black Friday till Monday. So we have Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, why the heck not Sunday, and then Cyber Monday. And then just get it all out of the way and get it done.
That's right. Tony Ryan said sales code is 12345.
I thought it was 54321.
Oh, no, that's the one you weren't supposed to tell people about.
Yeah, that's a special
that's the
one.
final countdown.
Oh, well, Dave, it has been absolutely fun having you on here, and I will extend the invitation to you. You are welcome to come on anytime you like. And of course, we always appreciate you being in the chat during these streams. You kept at least half of our stream today tied to 3D printing, which is always a benefit because these streams always go off.
We aim for at
Go
least
off the rails.
10%. Yeah, we aim for 10%. So because of you, we can go 5 episodes with none.
Woo-hoo, next week, we're just talking about White Castle.
Yeah, we didn't mention White Castle at all, and I had that for lunch.
Oh my.
Lucky dog.
I'm surprised you made it through the stream.
Yeah, you didn't show us the fun room because you had White Castle for lunch. So
That's where they make the fluorescent brown.
yeah, all right.
That's not right.
So, you got anything else that you want to promote, Dave?
That's it. I mean, go easy on me for the rest of the sale. I think I've sold enough, but if you want a good deal, go right ahead. And by the way, I don't know if you've seen her on Twitter or not. Keep an eye out for Brad. You'll see him out there. We have his Brad's Orange. He is a friend of ours, and he is a Make-A-Wish kid. Yeah. And we had him in here during IRF. And now he's on Twitter and all that stuff, and chime in with him, help him out, make sure he feels like he's part of the community. Because that kid,
I understand it. He's a Florida boy.
He's a Florida boy too. I won't hold that against him. But I mean, this kid is, still fairly young, and he's building tool changers. He figured out the extrusion line, in a few hours. He is absolutely brilliant in this 3D printing space.
That's awesome.
And totally worth it. And he needs everyone's support across the board. So keep him out there. He was awesome to have here, and I definitely want to see more from him. Very cool.
Very cool. Wow, I can't really top that. So good night, everybody.
Print on.
How about you, James? You got anything you want to plug?
Nah.
Yeah, you good?
I've got a bunch of projects that are real close to being done, but I don't know if they're any closer than they were a week ago. So,
well, I'm hoping to get a better video of my Christmas lights taken this year, and maybe I can share that with you guys next week. If anybody's in the local area and you'd like to come see my show, reach out to me, and I still won't share my home address with you.
You'd share it with me, though, right?
Well, of course, but
yeah.
I'm not all the way crazy.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, if anybody really ever wanted to know where I live, I'm not that hidden. But other than that,
we can see your place from space, right? Because of all the lights, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You just pull up Google Earth, you can see it. It's what's the pyramid in Las Vegas?
Luxor.
There you go. The beam that comes out of the top of that's what my house looks like at Christmas time. So
Chad is asking what Brad's Twitter handle is.
I just posted it in the tweet. It is Brad R3D.
I'm pretty sure I'm following him, but I'm going to go double check.
Ditto.
He is a smart kid, and I'm not going to say, I didn't try and, show him off a bunch of schools and stuff really close by here so that I could secretly hire him while he's in college. Or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all.
He's a 15-year-old high schooler who makes cool stuff with his Prusa printers and his E3D online tool changer.
That's right. So, really awesome kid. Definitely smarter than he should be at that age. Smarter than I was at that age, and I was brilliant.
Just ask me.
Just ask me. I know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely give him a follow, and anytime you ask a question, chime up, help him out. Kid's awesome. Have him on your show sometime. He's got some fun stuff.
We should. I don't know. I've put like an open invitation out to anybody that wants to be on to just let me know, and like nobody ever contacts me. So apparently nobody wants to be on this show.
Yeah, you're one of the few suckers. I mean, valued guests that we've.
That's why James reached out to you, because when I ask people, they're like, no.
No.
It's like I said at the beginning of the stream. I'm not a very smart businessman, so that's why I'm here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and like I say every week, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you guys being here, because these streams would be senseless without you. And we thank you for the 55 thumbs up today, and poo on you 3 that gave me the thumbs down. But it is what it is. So, but thank you guys for being here. We will do it again next week, unless something, of course, comes up, because that does occasionally happen.
We live in a Corona world.
We do live in a Corona world. Well, and there's, sometimes things that are more fun come up. But but we do thank each and every one of you guys for being here. Do tune in next week. Bring a friend. We got to get these numbers. We got to get these numbers up. I'm tired of talking to the same people. You guys are boring.
Oh, and now half of them are not coming back.
So, but yeah, that's it for us. And we'll definitely see you guys next week. And as always,
Print on.